Insert disc 2.
So, if you had to make, and this is just for fun,
Okay.
if you had to make a New Year's gaming resolution, something
New Year's
positive.
gaming resolution.
Yeah, something you want to accomplish in your gaming life.
You've got to. It's an interesting question, but one thing that has always bothered me was, and it's bothered me more in the past couple of years because I've acquired them. I've got a EverDrive or a gaming solution for real consoles for the Atari 2600, the NES, the Super NES, the N64, the Genesis, the 32X, the 3DO, all right, the Vectrix, the TurboGrafx. I've got gaming solutions for all of these, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple, right? And it always bothers me that I don't get to play them that much. It's not even I don't have time or whatever, but I've learned the secret, I think. And so I guess my resolution would be to take advantage of the gifts that have been invented in my lifetime that will allow me to play all the games I never had access to in the past or even cared about. Example, I was never a big N64 guy back in the day, but I now have access to their entire library. All right, so I'm trying to go through it and try some of the games that I may have missed. I can tell you that I'm going through the TurboGrafx library, as I mentioned to you before the show, and I've enjoyed it immensely. It's so much fun. I never had a chance to play any of these games. A big chunk of them from Japan, and they're a lot of fun. So my goal is to take advantage. I'm not going to focus as much on acquiring more stuff. I want to focus on what I've got and enjoying the things that I have.
My New Year's gaming resolution is to spend more time fixing up and spending quality time with my very first gaming machine, the Atari 1200 XL.
Really? This is your resolution. What do you have in mind?
Well, I've been doing some research, and you can buy, because as you recall, I repaired my keyboard membrane with a circuit writer.
Yeah.
But it's already started to fail again.
Oh,
so this is not a permanent solution. So, but you can actually buy new old stock membranes that you can just swap out the whole thing.
I see. Probably pretty cheap.
So that's step one.
Yeah.
Step two is I am going to try to figure out some way, some interface to get that machine online and connect to my very first BBS.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because we've talked many an episode about your BBS memories, and I have never once in my life connected to a BBS.
Really? Not one time?
Never once. And so I figure if I'm going to do it, I need to do it on my very first computer.
I like it. Now, the amount of hardware add-ons for the 1200, I'm assuming would pale into comparison with, say, the Amiga.
Yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Now, and you can currently play the majority of the games that were available for the 1200. The SD card solution, I gotta be honest with you, it's not nearly as seamless as a console one, because the games come in so many different formats. Newer ones are a little easier to cope with, right?
Yeah, the later models like the XEGS and the XE line, I think they kind of consolidated more stuff together. The 1200 XL had compatibility issues right out of the box. That's why it was only on the market for like less than a year. But it will run most of the stuff. And like I said, it's got nostalgic value to me.
Sure.
It's also the only machine that I owned that was the original machine that I had from back in the day.
I understand. Yeah.
And so I kind of wish that I would have bought some of that Atari 8-bit software off you before you got rid of it, because some of that stuff could have been part of my New Year's resolution to investigate some of that stuff.
Well, good news for you. I still have a ton of it.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk more about that later. But I'm just really looking forward. My machine for 2019 is going to be the Atari 8-bit.
Okay, very good. I plan on doing. I've got the Amiga now. In terms of machine aspect, I would like to get my 600 back up and running appropriately. Like, God, I love that machine when it was up and running. It was my baby. I mean, and I've got a.
It is a very fine machine.
It's fun. It's a cute little machine. I mean, I know when they released it, I thought Amiga or Commodore should be taking that in shot, but now here it is a few years later, and I do like the form of it. But I plan on doing. I've got 2 computer goals this year, outside of the Amiga. One, I'm going to get an SD solution for my Coco, which I'm desperately longing for to get back into Coco. And I would also like to get a proper multi-card SD solution for my XEGS that you bought me, because I'm missing out on a lot of this good Atari fun. And I would like to dip my toe in the pool on that, because I am familiar with a lot of it.
And you're coming in at a good time too, because there are many more available now than there were a couple years ago when I bought mine.
Yeah. And so I've been researching. Of course, money's always an issue, but I'm not in a hurry, because I've been very fortunate, to be honest with you, that I've been able to beg, borrow, and steal just enough money to get the stuff I've got now. But I mean, it is awesome to have these little solutions, and it is, we've talked about it. I love emulation as much as anybody, and I've never said, hey, if you don't have the real hardware, you're garbage, because that's really silliness. You could stack these things side by side, you probably never know the difference. But there is a certain, how can I put this? There's something, there's a mental thing that makes playing this stuff on the original hardware sort of fun for me. I mean, if you got it. And I got it, and also I guess it justifies the existence of this stuff if you've got some way to play it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've got a building full of this stuff. I need to do something with it, So, I'm looking forward to delving into that stuff a little bit more. It's funny. I don't want to delve anything too deeply, because I was talking to the Chud about this. When it comes to like gaming and stuff, I just want stuff to work. I mean, I'm beyond the point of messing with stuff. I just don't feel like doing it anymore. I don't have the time I used to. I don't have the patience. Old Aaron could do that stuff, but new Aaron, I just don't have time to do it, and I don't have the patience to get into it that much. So I just want stuff to work.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. But there's a universe of games out there that I have not got to play yet, and I don't know. I wanted to ask you about this. I listen to a lot of gaming shows, and some of these people are very well versed in many types of games. They know a lot about a lot of games. What is the draw to retro gaming? Is it the games, or is it the feeling of being immersed in your childhood that gets you? I mean, when you look back on it, I mean, how much time do you spend in a given week playing old games? In a regular week,
Well,
I mean, you played a ton of them, or is it something you just touch on sometimes?
I'm not ashamed to say that for me personally, it is 80% being immersed in childhood.
Yeah.
And so that's why accelerators and solutions that improve the performance of my machine, unless it allows me to play more, or really, I don't even care about that. I want to be able to play the stuff that I played when I was a kid and enjoy it.
With no fuss.
With no fuss, right.
That's pretty much the way I am. A younger me with more time and no family, I would probably really be into the Amiga 1 stuff, or some of this other stuff. But I just want to play fun games that I remember. They might not even be that good, but they were fun to me. I don't want to sit down and play Jumpman or something. I was sitting and playing games earlier this week. They were modern games. There's nothing against modern games, because they're tremendous. There's a lot of great games. Red Dead Redemption 2 stuff. I don't know how I don't know how an adult finds the time to do this stuff with a family. I just swear to you, I cannot figure it out.
Well, I think that everyone's family situation is different, and sometimes other partners in the relationship take a more active and role than others, and I think that it just depends on what your particular situation is.
Well, I spend a lot of time with my kid playing games, but it's almost always the classic stuff. That's what he plays Switch games. I just got him the new Smash Brothers game. Have you the Switch version? He loves it, and he wanted me to play it with him this week. And I can't stand that. I've never understood the appeal of these Smash Brothers games. I'm a fighting game guy, but I hate them.
I think if you're a fighting game guy, you're not going to like Smash Brothers.
They just seem so random to me. Have you played them before?
Well, it's kind of like saying I can't stand Mario Kart because it's not like Forza.
Oh, I see. It's just, but I mean, I just don't think I just don't have much fun playing it. Like Forza, I can understand the appeal if you're a gearhead type.
No. What I mean is that Mario Kart is the Smash.
So you're saying Smash Bros is like cotton candy, and say Street Fighter is like a a more complicated meal.
Right.
Okay, well, there you go then.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Any parting thoughts?
Well, I wish you the best of luck on your resolution for this year. And I will be posting updates on the Discord about my Atari 8-bit purchases. And, I think that we're going to have a great 2019. I know on the Amiga scene, we've got a ton of awesome stuff lined up. I can't wait to discover the universe of games chosen for us by the committee. Over in the chat, Graham says for him it's part nostalgia, part being able to play games he couldn't afford or copy back in the day.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. Being able to afford machines like, I have a great love for the Apples of the early 2000s. Those were thousands of dollars back in the day. You can have them for $50 now,
Really that cheap, huh?
Yeah. I mean, because it's not like the Amiga. The Amiga is the outlier, I think, in that regard. Almost everything is probably more expensive than it was at its very lowest, but only the Amiga is really leaps and bounds. I think the Amiga is probably one of the few systems that might cost more now than when it was new, in a lot of cases.
It's funny. I was talking to Chudley before we close up. We did the PC Mini Best 30 You Could Put On It show. And I've talked to a lot of people that were talking about, in fact, I think Huck was one of the guys that were talking about building a classic PC system. And I don't see myself doing that. But I do see myself, I've got some laptops that fall into that category where I could use them with DOS and whatnot. It's interesting that the PC genre is getting wings. I think that's one thing that happened this year that surprised me was the fact that people were starting to, it was becoming a big money business to build these old PCs. In fact, motherboards are coming out, new ones that are effectively for old processors to play these old games. It's quite crazy to me. And again, we've talked about on the show. A lot of PC games I think were very good.
Mm-hmm.
There were way better games on the Amiga or the Commodore 64, for example. But I think it's an interesting area. So it's neat to see that the PC people are finally getting into the mix. I'm happy for them this year. I think this year I get this feeling that I'm going to play more games this year than I have in previous years. I felt the bug more here recently than I had for a long time. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think ease of use is probably part of it because I don't want to mess with stuff, And I think doing ARG is a good chunk of it too because we cover so many different systems.
Oh yeah,
on there,
absolutely.
And I've discovered a lot of new systems I've never played before. So I think it's going to be a big-time gaming year for me if I can fit it all in. Plus, with the availability of these cheap portable systems, it's a lot easier to fit your portable gaming in than it used to be. So I think it's going to be, hey, listen, the bottom of the truth is as we go forward, all this retro stuff, it gets cheaper and cheaper if you don't mind emulating it. And it's out there, and there's tons of it, and it's ready to go.